Hey guys, in this section I'm going to show you how to remove a military crimp and debur the flash hole of the brass. You're only required to do, I added these two steps into this one video because you're only required to do this one time for the piece of brass that you're using. So if this is the first fire, the first time this piece of brass is fired, you do this the first time. It's a little more work for the first firing, but for the second, third, fourth, if you get that many fires out of this brass, you won't have to worry about doing this step. So that's why I like to keep these two tasks in one video here. So there's a couple different ways how to accomplish removing the military crimp, which I'm going to start off talking about. The first way that I have found to do it, the cheaper way, is to use a reaming tool. And a reaming tool is basically a bit, which on my blog you can see a close-up picture of it, but it's a bit that basically takes and you spin it on the spin it in the primer pocket, and it basically reams off the material in the brass, taking off the crimp. I found this to be pretty inconsistent and a pain in the ass. So I realized that RCBS makes a swagging tool, which I have here in my hand, and it works a lot better and a lot more consistent. Provides a lot more consistent results than a reaming tool. So one other thing I'd like to point out before I show you how to set this swagging tool up is I don't buy a lot of brass in bulk. So I normally just go to the store, Cabela's, Bass Pro, whatever, and buy my ammo there. If it's bulk ammo, it's like in a caliber that is the military uses, like 5.56, then it's likely going to have a crimp. If it's ammo that is like match ammo or regular ammo that's sold in like boxes of 20, I normally open those up in the store and look and see if they have a crimp, because if I can avoid it, I'll buy that ammo just so I won't have to de-crimp or get rid of the crimp on that brass when I go to reload it. I found that if it's labeled 223 in the stores, there's less of a chance that it'll have a crimp. If it's labeled 5.56, there's more of a chance. So not a big deal, but either way, but I just like to check it. If I'm going to buy a large quantity, it saves me a little bit of time. So, I'll show you how to set this swagging tool up. On my blog, there's a picture of the whole set. I have this, I don't know the technical name for each of these pieces. Off the top of my head, they are in my blog, but I've assembled this. And this rod, it's basically set up for a large rifle primer and a small rifle primer. So I have the small rifle rod and the piece that you put on the ram here. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's unique to this tool itself. So the first thing you do is on this rod there's a groove. So you screw this rod into the swagging tool itself, or I like to just call it the die because it looks like a die. And you take it and screw that rod up until it meets so that groove is at the end of the die here. And then you use this lock and this locking nut. I guess it doesn't lock or anything. You just tighten it down the best that you can with some pliers. And then you put it in your press, screw it in 3 or 4 turns. Don't worry about this washer right now. take your the shell holder piece, the piece that would be a shell holder if this is a real die, put that in on the ram. Take this piece of, there's a name for this, I don't know it off the top of my head. Slide that over your, the piece that's in the ram here, and then go ahead and take a piece of brass that's deprimed that has the crimp. Put that in your press and run this up, and you'll have to guide the brass onto that rod. Which is a little bit of a pain in the butt the first time. I'll just run this down a little bit so I can get it on here a little easier. Lower the handle down all the way. Run this down as far as it'll go until it contacts the brass, like so. Run that down. Do a quarter turn. Now you want to tighten up that washer, black washer, which you're supposed to use an Allen wrench. I'm not going to do it for the purposes of this video because nobody wants to watch me screw in a set screw. And then run this back up. Should be a little bit easier now that the rod's sticking out. And then you should have a little bit of play on the bottom of your press. Oh, looks like I did not run this down far enough. Let me do that. Must have went back up. There we go. Still not up far enough. Keeps wanting to run back up because I'm not tightening the set nut. Or the set screw. Let's try it again here. There we go. You see how it bounces a little bit there? Run it down. And now the brass is decrimped. So now that it's set up, let's do another one. Do a couple more here. Once you get everything dialed in, it's not too bad. And it looks like it's a pain in the butt. But again, it's better than having to use that reaming tool that I was telling you about. And like I said, I think this is more consistent than the reaming tool. I got to the point where I would take the reaming tool off of that handle, and I put on a drill, and then it'd get really inconsistent because it was just a huge pain in the butt removing the crimp from that many pieces of brass. So this is faster. And then once you get the hang of this, once you get the feel for it, and you can start running through these pretty quick. So that's how you remove the military brass, the military crimp with a swagging tool, with an RCBS swagging tool. So the next bit here, after I readjust the cameras, I'm going to show you how to remove the debur the inside of the primer pocket inside of the case. So let me readjust the cameras, and I will be right back. Now that I've got the cameras readjusted here, I'm going to show you how to deburr the inside of the primer hole, or the flash hole, I should say, not the primer hole, to remove remove some of the material that's in that could be up inside of the brass that could cause inconsistent results when you reload your ammo. So, from what I understand, on a piece of brass, when they manufacture these things, they, especially on cheaper manufacturing techniques, is they take and use a punch to punch that flash hole, and the punch goes into the bottom of the brass, and what can happen is material will be left pointing up inside of the brass, which when you reload the cartridge or the round and insert your primer, then when the primer ignites through the flash hole, you want a ignition that's consistent, in a consistent circle that hits the powder. So what this deburring does is it removes the material from that punching process. So this is an optional step. You don't have to do this, but it's an easy step. You only have to do it once, and I like to do it just for accuracy. So what I have here is two deburring tools, and I have one for 30 cal and one for 223 and 5.56. So it's the same exact tool. This little, I don't know what you call it, a collet or whatever, is the only piece that's different. So what you do is there's a set screw in this thing, and you adjust this so this point, when you put it down into your brass, there's a little bit of a gap between the top of the round and this the stopper here. So it's really, I'm not going to be able to show it in the video, but the point of this tool you can see in the bottom, in the primer pocket in the bottom of this brass. So once you get it in there, this kind of aligns it and makes sure it's in there correctly. You just take it, spin it a couple times, and then you can't see it in the video, but there's little pieces of brass shavings that are on my workbench here, and that's all you do. So you take it, spin, knock it out, you're done, and you just keep doing it. So it's an easy step to do, and it's supposed to increase your accuracy. And I like to do it every time that I reload any type of factory brass. Now, if you get like the Pua brass, some of that high-end stuff, I don't think you have to do that. I think it's made in a way that you don't have to worry about doing this step. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody can point that out in the comments of the post on my website. But high-end brass, I don't think you have to do this. So that is the process of deburring the flash hole on factory brass. Appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next video.